The sun had long since dipped beneath the horizon, leaving behind only a faint trace of its golden hue in the sky. The night air in the bustling city of Kinsley was cool, carrying with it the faint hum of distant conversations, car engines, and the rhythmic clicking of heels against the pavement. Yet, in the corner of the city, hidden behind the sleek, modern glass buildings and the hurried pace of life, there lay a small, forgotten alley. It was in this alley that Lila Montgomery found herself, her breath shallow and heart racing as she turned the corner. Welcome to Exceedingly Fruitful, where you'll hear the most captivating and relatable stories that will change your perspective on life. If you want more content like this, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to show your support. Thank you. She had never meant to come here. She had spent her entire life living in the light, in the world of prestigious parties, high-end fashion, and boardrooms. But today, something was different. Today, Lila couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to life than the surface, than the polished image she had built over the years. There had been a gnawing, an ache deep within her for months now, and no matter how many luxury items she acquired, or how many friends she added to her social circle, it wouldn't go away. Lila's high heels clicked sharply on the pavement as she walked through the alley, her hand resting against the cold brick wall, as if trying to steady herself in the midst of this unfamiliar world. The alley wasn't empty, though it was not as full of life as the streets outside. A few people sat at tables outside a small, cozy cafe, their faces glowing with the warmth of the streetlights, their laughter almost as if it belonged to a different world than her own. A couple walked past her, their fingers entwined, their conversations soft and sweet, unaware of her intrusion into their peaceful evening. She came to a small door at the far end of the alley. It was unassuming, hidden behind a thick curtain of ivy, and there was no sign, no indication of what was inside. Lila hesitated, her pulse quickening. She didn't know why she had come here. She didn't know what to expect. But the thought of turning back was unbearable. Taking a deep breath, Lila pushed the door open. Inside was a dimly lit room. The air smelled faintly of incense, and the walls were lined with bookshelves, each shelf cluttered with old volumes, their spines worn with age. The sound of soft, classical music filled the space, a stark contrast to the noise of the city outside. It felt almost as if she had stepped into a different era, a time long past. At the center of the room stood a woman, an older woman, perhaps in her 60s, but with a presence that seemed to transcend age. She wore a long, flowing dress of deep red and black, her silver hair pulled back into a loose bun. Her eyes were sharp, though soft with wisdom. She looked at Lila as if she had been expecting her, her gaze penetrating and knowing. "You've come," the woman said, her voice gentle but firm. "I've been waiting for you." Lila blinked, her throat tightening. I don't know why I'm here." The woman nodded as though she understood. "I know," she said. "You've been searching for something your entire life, haven't you? You've been chasing something, but you don't know what it is." Lila's heart skipped a beat. It was as if the woman could see straight into her soul, unraveling all of her secrets, all of her fears. "I don't know how you—" The woman raised a hand, cutting her off. "It doesn't matter how. What matters is that you found the truth, whether you like it or not. The question is, what will you do with it?" Lila shook her head, confusion flooding her senses. "I don't understand." The woman smiled softly. "Let me show you." Without another word, The woman reached out, gently taking Lila's hand. The room around them began to shimmer and fade, as if the very air were bending, transforming. Lila gasped, feeling herself pulled through a space that didn't seem to belong to any known dimension. Suddenly, they were standing in the middle of a forest, surrounded by towering trees that stretched high into the night sky. The air was crisp, the scent of pine and earth heavy in the atmosphere. But it wasn't just the forest that took Lila's breath away. It was the vision before her. There, standing in the clearing, was a small group of people. Ordinary people, just like her. Yet they radiated something extraordinary. They weren't rich or famous. They didn't have power or influence. But there was a quiet strength in them, a peace that seemed to come from within. They looked at Lila as if they had been waiting for her, their faces filled with understanding. "This," the woman's voice came from beside her, "is the world you've been searching for. A world where happiness isn't measured by wealth or status, but by connection, by understanding, by empathy. The truth you seek isn't out there, in the boardrooms or the parties. It's here, in moments like these, in the spaces where people live authentically." Lila's heart hammered in her chest. This wasn't just a dream, wasn't just some illusion. It was real. "Why me?" Lila whispered, her voice trembling. The woman's gaze softened. "Because, Lila, you've always had the potential to see this world. You just needed to let go of the illusions you've built around yourself." Lila looked around at the group in the clearing. They were laughing now, talking, sharing stories, and for the first time in years, she felt the weight of her own facade lifting. The life she had been chasing, one of perfection and control, suddenly seemed so far away. This was real. But as quickly as the vision had come, it began to fade. The trees melted into the background, the people fading like mist. Lila reached out, but it was too late. The world shifted, and suddenly, she was back in the dimly lit room. The woman was still there, watching her, waiting. I don't know what to do with this," Lila said, her voice breaking. The woman nodded. "The first step, Lila, is to accept that the truth is yours. The second step is to live it. Let go of the false image you've been holding on to. Embrace what's real." Lila's heart was still racing, but something inside her had changed. She had seen what could be, and though it terrified her, she knew now that the life she had been living wasn't enough. There was more, so much more. As she left the alley and stepped back into the cool night air, the sounds of the city seemed different now. The rushing cars, the busy sidewalks, they all felt so far away. She felt lighter somehow, more aware of herself, as though she had stepped into a new chapter of her life. Lila didn't know where her path would lead, but for the first time in a long while, she felt like she was on the right track. Now, reflect on your own journey. How much of your life have you spent chasing something that doesn't truly fulfill you? Have you ever felt the pull to something deeper, something more meaningful? It's not always easy to let go of the pursuit of external success and prestige, but true happiness comes from embracing the authentic self. Take a moment today to ask yourself, what is it that I truly seek? What will bring me peace? This story is a reminder that real fulfillment comes from within, from being true to yourself and finding connection with others. How will you live your truth?